Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload, as you can tell by the title of this video, we'll be talking about Hurricane Laura and the potential for it becoming a major hurricane. And by the National Hurricane Center, they're expecting it fully to become a major hurricane, which means a Category 3 hurricane. Category 3 hurricane is very, very dangerous, and it contains a lot of threats: storm surge, tornadoes, heavy rain, and obviously the winds. So for official info for evacuation orders, go to the National Hurricane Center. It's nhc.noaa.gov, and you will find your best resources right there. Also, the National Weather Service. And this channel right here, I'm just here to provide my own opinion and a little bit of my brief rundown of this. I'm not here to make any professional opinions about this. So let's start getting into this video. Notice that we have the cone right here, and we have the M right there, and that's basically a major hurricane. That's anything greater than 110 miles per hour, while it's supposed to right now get, according to the National Hurricane Center, to 115 miles per hour, maybe 120 before landfall. It definitely could get a bit stronger, but that's what it is, a Category 3 right now, and you can see there's the cone, and that's not where the impacts are going to be. That's where the track could be. They are still a bit uncertain. There has been a bit more of a westward trend for sure with the models. So cities like Houston may be still under the gun for some, even getting a pretty potentially head-on hit by this hurricane. And by the way, it is a hurricane at this point. It's Hurricane Laura. It's not a tropical storm at this point. And notice in the next 48 hours, really, it's kind of crucial to see what happens because we need to see how quickly it intensifies. If it intensifies a bit slower, then maybe it won't reach major. But again, it's looking as if right now a major hurricane is expected, and you can see there's still a bit of uncertainty, but let's start talking about the rainfall first. U.S. Rainfall potential. You can see we have some of those red amounts, definitely over 10 to 15 inches of rain in some locations. You know, these hurricanes, these tropical storms, these tropic cyclones, they have just lots of rain. They are fueled with moisture. They are the most efficient rainmakers in the world, and I mean, you could just see that really this thing is going to be fast moving. It's not going to be, stationary, but it could still dump almost a foot and a half of rain in a matter of several hours, as these thunderstorms just, again, they are going to be occurring quickly, and that's probably even more dangerous. It's not going to be gradual. It's going to be quick, and that's going to lead to flooding. Notice this is not limited to the coast. We see lots of rain across central Arkansas and pushing even as far as into Kentucky. Yes, the amounts are a bit less, maybe 4 to 6 inches, but again, that is still a lot of rain. And you can see right here we have the 6 to 10 inch range, so definitely a concern for sure. And it looks as if a lot of areas will be impacted by rain, except again, the heaviest amounts will be right by the coast, but they're not limited to the coast. And notice, let's look at the peak storm surge. The storm surge looks to be potentially devastating. You can see 9 to 13 feet. Sorry, storm surge, storm surge. That is very, very. That's a lot. And some of this, if these low-lying areas are impacted by this, this water could get into land, miles into the land. And obviously, if just think about it, the water level rises 13 feet because this storm has such strong strength. It kind of blows this water off the ocean into the coast, and it basically just increases the sea level by 13 feet. So if there's a very gradual beach, it could extend for miles. And that's why 50% of hurricane deaths are related to storm surge. So definitely this is something you have to keep an eye on for. This is still going to change possibly. They are definitely increasing it a bit across these areas. There has been a noticeable increase, but you could see it's just a large area. Lots of Louisiana, a lot of Mississippi, and then a good portion of eastern Texas. So The dangerous thing is that this storm surge will be coinciding with the high tide, so that is definitely something that is kind of like known as the worst case scenario. It would be better if the peak storm surge would or would match up with the low tide, but unfortunately, it looks as if the arrival of the storm will match up with the high tide, so it's even more dangerous with that. So that's definitely makes it a bit worse. The flash flooding potential, you could see that they have a pretty good chance, moderate, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just increase it to high across some of these areas, because I mean it's basically just gonna be almost likely. It's just gonna be very very likely with such a strong storm coming on shore. And if you were to look at day one, day two, you could see that it definitely maintains itself. A lot of potential for this for sure. So this is something you have to keep an eye on for, and keep checking back to the National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center, and keep your eyes to the sky and the radar. And obviously, if you can, you should probably be evacuating. There are evacuation orders for some of these areas, and again, for that, look at redirect yourself to your local officials, as they know the best. These are the wind speed probabilities, tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. So this is anything higher than 39 miles per hour. Again, a good portion will be almost 100%. And now, in terms of a hurricane wind speed probability, you can see it's definitely rising. If you recall last night's video, it was a bit less confident, but I mean, if it's expected to be a Category 3 hurricane, then there'll probably be some 80 to 90% chances of you experiencing hurricane force winds across these areas. And you can see it's a pretty large area, and the percentages do go down as you get away from the center, but again, we don't really know where that center will go at this point. It's still just a wide area at this point. Let's take a look now at some of the weather models. By the way, I showed you, I think, this cone right here. This is just the overall expected cone. Again, expected to become a major hurricane, and landfalling probably late Wednesday into early Thursday. Though again, you need to keep an eye out for that. Here's what the Weather Channel thinks, or it kind of as a little portrayal of what the National Hurricane is showing, National Hurricane Center, and you can see that they have it at 115, so that's barely a Category 3, but it's a Category 3, and a Category 3 is a major hurricane. The word major is there for a reason. It's significant and could seriously pack a punch. Now, if you look across much of the Northeast, we are seeing severe thunderstorms, so that definitely is something I just wanted to briefly mention. If you are watching this video on the 25th of August, definitely keep an eye out for that, as they could be packing a punch. But here's our interest. You can see right there across Louisiana and into Texas, we are already seeing some showers forming. This isn't really directly correlated with the storm, but this is kind of making the situation worse, as preparations could be halted by some of these showers and rain. And if they do occur at a great enough pace, it could be already leading to some flooding. You can see flash flood warnings are already up, and the storm is still far away. But again, this is a good website where you should be going and getting your stuff from, obviously. And I'm just in this certain weather center. They have many locations. This is at Lake Charles National Weather Service, but this one is expected to kind of take the brunt of it as of now, but that could still change. And notice potential for wind 110 miles per hour or greater. It seems pretty high. Forecast rainfall 8 to 10 inches. Wouldn't be surprised if this is even higher. Just overall ridiculous amounts of rain. This is for flooding. Sorry about that. Potential for major flooding rain. You can see it's pretty high, and if you were to look at wind again, we already saw that. So again, they have warnings up, tropical storm warnings, and also hurricane warnings. This will still probably change around depending on which counties are under the gun for this, and they still exactly don't know where this will hit. But notice tropical storm force winds possible from Wednesday afternoon, so even before landfall, and up until Thursday afternoon, and hurricane force winds possibly from Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. So extremely strong winds. Obviously, they will cause damage, and that's just no way to put it around it. Let's look at the GFS model. The GFS model is a good regarded model, and it has been showing. You can see it's showing at 957, 958, so at around a category 3 hurricane, and it's been consistently showing at around 950 millibars, which is definitely what most models agree with. And the landfall seems to be occurring right between the border of Louisiana and Texas, so that's definitely, you can see that's what the GFS has to say about that. And if you were to look at the European model, the European model is also a long-range model, a very highly regarded one. You could see it jumps frames right there, but it also is around the 950 millibars of pressure before landfall. And again, very similar area. You could see between the border of Louisiana and Texas. That seems to be the trend across many models. And you can see it kind of takes its track across the southeast and into the mid-Atlantic, and it kind of zooms off. But it could also be potentially providing a threat across the southeast, as it still is going to provide some strong winds and heavy rain. Let's look at some of the hurricane models quickly. These have been a bit kind of crazy. They've been showing the storm a bit stronger than most of the other models, and that hasn't really been the case, but let's just take a look at this nonetheless and see what they're showing. And this is just kind of like maybe a potential possibility that may occur with this storm. So we'll wait for this to load, and I'll bring you back once it loads. The Hwrf model has it at 951 millibars right before landfall, which is right around where most models are showing it. And again, they have been consistently showing it right between the border of Louisiana and Texas, and Houston's right there. So it is definitely pretty close, and we'll have to see whether or not that continues to track westward, or it maintains itself and kind of keeps where it was. So that's basically it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And again, for official weather info, go to the National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center, and stay safe.